Or how about this one? At what property tax rate? If property tax are 20 basis points a year, maybe property is money. What happens when they're 200 basis points a year? Property tax rate in Florida is 2% a year. Okay. If you're not if you don't have the homestead exemption and you're not a citizen, then that means you buy $10 million worth of property, you pay $200,000 of tax. Then they actually assess it up 15% a year. So that means that in 10 years, the property's valued at 30 million. You owe $600,000 in tax. In the next 5 years, you've lost all your money. Okay, but I thought Florida was low tax state, huh? I thought property was a good investment. Well, let's make it simpler. What if I make the tax rate 5% a year? What if I make it 50% a year? Like, what if, so the point really is all of these are simple rules of thumb that allow people to not think for themselves. You're on a ship, the ship is sinking, there's 10 boats in front of you. One of the boats doesn't have a hole in it. The other 9 boats have holes in them. You got 10 members in your family. Are you going to put one kid in each of the 9 boats or the like? Or are you going to put everybody in the boat that doesn't have the hole in it?
Okay, so you come to that level of conviction, which is intoxicating, by the way.
It's not conviction. It's not conviction. It's just rational thinking for yourself. Are you moving your entire family to Zimbabwe right now because, you have conviction? Or let me reverse it. Why is it that you don't move your entire family to Zimbabwe, sell all your stuff, and buy the Zimbabwe dollar? Why is it that you don't do that? Because of conviction, or just because it seems quite obvious to you that's not a good idea?
I won't say that conviction is when you don't do something, but when you go all in on something, I would say that does take conviction. Now, your conviction might be
how many
coming from
chairs
first
are you sitting on
principles.
right now?
1.
Are you all in on the chair?
I am all in on the chair.
Like the point really is you put on one pair of glasses, you've got one pair of AirPods right now. You're looking at me through one screen. You're using one microphone. That's a one microphone. Like, you trust it? Is that conviction? Seems kind of scary. Why don't you diversify? Why don't you use 10 microphones? The point really is things in your life. Do you drive in 10 cars at the same time, or one car at one time? Do you drive down one street? Aren't you afraid that you're driving down one street? Do you take a different way? So my point really is, if you're you get on one airplane, are you convicted? You put your entire family on the one airplane, aren't you afraid? Ultimately, if you're a rational individual, when you use knives, do you have copper knives, wooden knives, steel knives, aluminum knives, rubber band knives, diamond knives, because you're afraid to commit to the right knife? It's a tool. So ultimately, what I'm saying here is an engineer would look at this and say, I use glass for my windows. I don't use aluminum for my windows because I can't see through the aluminum, right? I use steel beams. People used to use wooden beams. Steel beams work better, right? I use copper for wires because electricity goes through copper better. I don't use aluminum for wires. Right? Am I a radical, convicted, fanatic investor? Or am I just like a rational person that uses copper for wires because copper works better, right? And my point here is, you live in a society and things are going awry. If you did live in a country and the food supply was cut off, the electricity got turned off, the currency collapsed, and there were riots in the streets, would you still just kind of hang out and use the same rules of thumb you've been using? Or would you say, I think I'm going to exit via the airport where there are no riots if I can get on that plane, and I'm going to go somewhere else? Not because I'm convicted, not because I'm radical, not because I'm a risk taker. No, I'm just going to do it because I'm an intelligent human being, and I notice that it's getting uncomfortable where I am right now.